If you ask a child or an adult to draw you a cloud, chances are you'll end up with a sheep with no tail, no head, and no legs, also commonly called a cumulus. When we think of clouds, it's almost always those fluffy sheep-like shapes on sunny days that come to mind. Yet the sky is full of a great variety of shapes. In fact, to observe strange or unusual shapes in the sky, you don't necessarily need any special weather conditions. Sometimes you just have to wait a few hours, let the clouds change shape with the air currents, and trust in pareidolia. That is, our ability to see familiar shapes in random images. So, armed with patience and without taking any substances, you can see an elephant sitting on a cloud, or a fleeting camel playing with the layers of air. A kind of little dog or fish against a setting sun. A rabbit here, the fingers of a hand there, birds frozen in mid-flight, a phoenix that refuses to come down, even losing a few feathers. And many, many other things as well, as shown to us by this collection of snapshots taken by members of the Cloud Appreciation Society. Always on the lookout, these passionate cloud hunters reveal hundreds of faces in our atmosphere. Cotton titans, with beards or mustaches, spitting smoke or howling with light, exchanging cloudy or passionate kisses, frowning or comfortably lying on a sea of cotton. Yet, as beautiful as they are, these clouds are nothing special. They are not rare, they are simply fleeting punctuations of the atmosphere. Without further delay, let's dive into a small selection of the rarest, most dangerous, fascinating, or hardest to observe clouds, starting with the asperitas. A magnificent atmospheric formation that has only been recognized since 2017. It had been nearly 60 years since the International Cloud Atlas had welcomed a new member into its ranks. Seen from the ground, this new variety of cloud gives the impression of being an inverted, upside-down sea. And the beauty of these tormented undulations like surface waves in an ocean quilt has earned this extremely rare phenomenon the nickname river in the sky. In some ways, asperitas resembles mammatus clouds, which look like balls of cotton candy that seem to have gotten carried away and whose colors can range from blue-gray to golden or reddish tones at sunset. To have the chance to observe these plump, rounded pouches, it's best to go outside when the sky is low and heavy like a lid and a storm is approaching, because in most cases, mammatus clouds appear at the base of convective clouds. And if you're really a fan of the wavy side of clouds, it's best to turn to fluctus clouds. These strange formations, which are very difficult to observe, usually appear at the boundary between shearing currents, with strong winds above an obstacle and almost none below. They are made possible by what are called Kelvin-Helmholtz waves. Since there's little chance of coming across them by accident, let's now go discover another type of cloud, this time easier to observe, altocumulus lenticularis, or lenticular clouds. An atmospheric phenomenon that, because of its shape, is the source of many UFO stories. Often solitary, these structures usually form in the mountains where they perch, or even stack up like a pile of plates on the peaks. And there you have a mountain topped with a beautiful hat, constantly forming on the windward side and breaking up on the other. Although they may appear still, lenticular clouds are constantly renewing themselves. On one side, the rising air loaded with water vapor cools at altitude and eventually condenses to form the cloud. On the other side, as the air descends, it evaporates and the cloud gradually disappears. While lenticular clouds barely rise above the mountains, there are others that prefer very high altitudes, like nacreous clouds, which form in the stratosphere at an altitude between 15,000 and 25,000 meters. Extremely rare, these clouds mostly form in winter near the poles in freezing temperatures, around -78 degrees. Nacreous clouds are as beautiful in their colors as the story they tell is sad. Some molecules act as catalysts for reactions that destroy the ozone layer. They are therefore both witnesses and actors in a drama that often has no audience. Let's keep gaining altitude to discover the highest clouds known in Earth's atmosphere, Noctilucent clouds, also known as luminous night clouds. These formations are located about 75 to 110 kilometers above sea level. Essentially made up of meteor dust and ice, Noctilucent clouds move at an astonishing speed of 600 kilometers per hour. And they are so strange and widespread that they are only visible from the ground after sunset, at a time called deep twilight, when sunlight no longer illuminates the ground. And the lower layers of the atmosphere are already in the Earth's shadow, but only the upper parts are illuminated from below. This type of cloud and their long shining filaments remain a mystery to scientists to this day, as we still don't know how they can form at such a high altitude, and we wonder if this phenomenon existed before 1885 when they were first observed. It has been observed that for unknown reasons, their appearances increase near the launch site after a rocket launch. Much closer to the ground, let's now discover a very difficult optical phenomenon to observe, that of iridescent or rainbow-colored clouds. These shimmering, colorful aspects, these amazing color effects, appear when a thin cloud made up of fine water droplets or ice crystals causes, through the diffraction of light, a kind of cottony rainbow attached to the clouds. Well, up until now, almost all the clouds we've just talked about are relatively difficult to observe, but others only require a bit of courage to be appreciated. These are thunderstorm cumulonimbus clouds. In a way, they are the kings of clouds. They are the face our atmosphere takes on when it is serious or angry. True enemies of airplane pilots and paragliders, these are the clouds with the greatest vertical extent. These monsters, developing from their base at around 700 meters, can grow to exceed 12,000 meters in altitude in our regions and reach up to 18,000 meters in the tropics, creating cloud formations twice as high as the others. Their upper part, which spreads out to form an anvil-shaped structure, is so massive that it can easily be seen from space. The energy contained in a thunderstorm cumulonimbus can be titanic. In the most impressive of them, energy equivalent to 10 times the Hiroshima bomb has been measured. Usually when this kind of thing is around, everyone finds shelter or runs away. But in 1959, William Runcian, a US Marine pilot, wasn't that lucky. While he was trying to fly over one of these monsters, due to a mechanical failure, he had to eject from his plane at an altitude of 14,300 meters, plunging alone into the King of Clouds. And his terrifying account can be summed up in a few words. I felt like a piece of beef tossed around in the depths of an icy abyss. A single number gives us a small idea of what he must have experienced. William had ejected from his plane at 6 o'clock, and under normal conditions, his fall should have lasted about 10 minutes. But when the pilot, bruised and shaken by the hailstone, finally hit the ground, it was 6:40. The reason was the updraft of over 100 kilometers per hour that can be found in some storm cells. If you're a die-hard fan of this kind of phenomenon, I can only suggest you go live near the Tiwi Islands in northern Australia. Because in that place, almost every day from September to March, Hector forms. It's probably the most studied thunderstorm cumulonimbus on Earth due to its regularity. And then storms can also give rise to amazing formations like Arcus clouds. They're a kind of low cloud shaped like a roll, which I would describe as a steamroller. These dark and threatening arcs, ranging from grey to deep black, are in a way the front line of the cumulonimbus clouds. But not always, and under certain special conditions, you can see roll clouds form independently of storms. Some of these spectacular cloud bands can be extremely long and fast, as shown in a video of this phenomenon captured over Lake Michigan. The most well-known and impressive of these atmospheric waves is the Morning Glory. It's a giant solitary wave found in Australia in the Gulf of Carpentaria region. This unique phenomenon, which can stretch for 1,000 kilometers, attracts gliders and extreme pilots from all over the world who come to surf these strange waves from the world above. I hope that next time the sky isn't blue, you'll see that having your head in the clouds is a wonderful trait, not an obstacle to a perfect summer day.